here we are again, and would you believe it's September already? The summer's drawn to a close, so let's get ready to welcome autumn. How I really love our seasons. I hope you've had the chance to spend time with those you love and cherish, and to enjoy some of the lovely weather we've had here and there. We're back now with our usual podcast, and we've got some interesting topics our reporters have tracked down for you to enjoy. This is Maggie West, and as always, we'll be together for the next 30 minutes. It's such a pleasure to have your company, and I'm delighted you've taken the time to join me and join us for today's u3a podcast. Now, how about a little taste of what's to come? You'll hear an introduction to our newest member of the team.
You know, there are over 250,000 members of u3a, so there's some great stories out there that I can't wait to hear.
In this episode, we visit an old music friend for many of us from our school days. Apparently, it's currently making a real comeback. Love them or hate them. Either way, they're a great way to stimulate our thinking. Just what we all need. Cryptic crosswords.
I think it's important for people to know that anyone can learn how to solve cryptic puzzles, that it can lead obviously to an enjoyable and mentally stimulating pastime.
It's our quest to encourage our listeners to always learn, laugh and live. You know that already. And these will certainly help us do just that. So here we go. Do come with me. We're really pleased to introduce you to our newest u3a reporter, Alistair Wayne, who tells Bob Wells a little about his life. You'll be hearing more from him in future podcasts, and we're delighted to have him join the team.
Hello, Alistair.
Hello, Bob. Hi. Lovely to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on, and really pleased that you've joined the team. I know we've had a few conversations before this.
Yes, and it's, I'm still very much a new boy, learning the ropes, and very excited to be involved.
I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun like we all do. First of all, Alistair, could you just tell us, please, a bit about yourself, including what you did before retiring and which u3a you belong to?
Right. Well, I'm part of the Bury St Edmunds u3a organisation, and participate in one or two of their groups, notably on writing, which has been great fun. I'm still working, actually, Bob. I have a media and marketing company based in East Anglia, so I'm not fully retired. And it's useful to keep my brain active, I think, which is another reason why I've joined the podcasting group to learn some new skills. So I came to East Anglia to launch a commercial radio station back in around 1999, which is now a Heart station. It used to be called Q103. And that was a fantastic experience. Radio is honestly one of the most fun jobs you could have in the world. And so I stayed there quite a long time, and it was quite a successful ride, really, because when I launched it, it became market leader against the BBC stations and within 12 weeks, which I think is still a record. Outside of that, I've got 3 children who are now grown up. One's a teacher, which is great, and then the youngest is doing an MA. She's pretty brainy, actually. I don't know where she got the DNA from. Probably not me, rather her mother. She's doing an MA at Cambridge in international relations. And then the middle one, my son, is a drummer for a band called Black Country New Road, and they recently appeared at Glastonbury.
Oh, wow. So what made you how did you become interested in becoming a u3a podcast reporter?
Well, Bob, I'm a really dedicated podcast listener, and my iPhone is full of podcasts that are updated daily. So I listen to podcasts really every day. In fact, I always listen to them before I go to sleep, and I'm pleased to say they actually keep me awake. When I saw the opportunity for volunteering to work on podcasts with u3a, I thought this is a fantastic opportunity. Not only because I love podcasts, but also I was going to hopefully learn some new skills, which is something that I think is essential. My ripe old age, to keep yourself interested, excited, and alive.
Yes, I'd agree with that. What types of stories are you most looking forward to from guests?
Well, I love history. Particularly, I'm sort of a bit into military history. So World War One is my big thing, and indeed World War Two. I go abroad to visit the battlefield. So I'm looking forward to talking to anybody who has any reminiscences or experiences of being in the services. But beyond that, what I've always thought is that retired people and older people have a story to tell. So it doesn't have to be about military exploits. It could be anything about their life experiences. And I think there are many tales to be told, which can be really exciting, compelling, and really uplifting. So that's really, and there are over 250,000 members of u3a. So there's some great stories out there that I can't wait to hear.
Well, we can't too. So what do you do outside of the u3a?
So, well, as I said, I'm still working, I actually read an enormous amount. I'm a big reader. I was shockingly bad at reading when I was young, much to the displeasure of my father, who was a writer. So I'm catching up on all the books I should have read, including the ones that I missed out on at university. So there's a bit of a guilt trip there. Spend a lot of time reading. And then I, certainly enjoy cooking. I'm also a bit of an art collector, but, nothing fancy, just art that really inspires and intrigues me. So I particularly like the cartoons and caricatures from the early 19th century by Gilray, for example. So I spend quite a bit of time on auction websites, I'm afraid, and pressing buttons a bit too eagerly.
And what's one thing that you could share with listeners that you've sort of learned over the years based on your experience, but you'd actually wish you'd known it when you were younger?
Well, this is the advice that I give to my children, and that is life is in cycles. So if you're having a downtime, then just remember the uptime is around the corner. Yeah. So life is not flatlining. Life is there. It's like a curve. It goes up and it goes down. So if you're feeling grim, just wait, because you'll be coming out of that. And of course, the flip side to that coin is, while you're enjoying yourself, don't think too much about the curve going down.
Some very wise words there, Alistair, and thank you ever so much for coming on for this introductory episode. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bob. Enjoyed that. Look forward to podcasting.
Thanks to Alistair Wayne for telling Bob Wells a little about yourself. We are excited to have you as part of our crew and look forward to new horizons. Now, have you ever thought about playing a musical instrument or picking one back up after many years? I'm sure many u3a members have memories of playing the recorder at school. I know I do. In this episode, we'll explore the joy of playing the recorder in later life, as there's been a surge of interest in reviving those skills or taking it up even as a new hobby. Val McCarroll is the u3a subject advisor for the instrument, and she's been telling Joanne Watson what that role entails.
What don't we do? I contact u3a recorder groups across the country, and basically I offer services and help and support to any member who actually needs support with the recorder. I've had requests like, what type of recorder should I buy? Can you get us some music? Can you come and join us and do a play day? I spend Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, and sometimes weekends teaching online. So any beginner recorder player or any player who wants to change from, say, descant to treble can contact me and have 5 free lessons.
I'm one of the generation that played the recorder at school. And it seemed like virtually every child in the class played the recorder in this period of sort of late 60s into the 70s. Presumably the u3a is full of a generation who are a bit like me in their experiences with the recorder.
Yes, and unfortunately, what we learned at primary school does not bear any comparison to what actual recorder playing is about. It's very good for your health. It's very good for your brain power because you're reading music and playing and breathing and trying to relax at the same time. So it's actually, it's a physical, emotional experience to play a recorder. It's not 3 blind mice or Mary had a little lamb.
So you think that we were pretty scarred when we were sort of 8 and 9?
I think it did a lot of damage, actually. They're not teaching recorder in schools these days. It's gone to the ukulele, keyboards or guitars, which is all very well, but they're not actually reading proper music. So the lost generation is probably going to be the group of people now in their 30s who will be the last people who were taught recorder.
How easy is it to actually get a decent tune out of a recorder when you start?
Okay, it's really to do with breathing and how you actually place your hands on the recorder. A lot of us were taught to stand up straight and blow for England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. In fact, it's not like that. And I have to almost, when I get beginners coming back, restarting the recorder, I've got to reshape their minds. They'll find this funny. When they go to blow a recorder and go for the higher notes, as they call them, they bring their shoulders up to their earrings at the top of the ears and they tense. And then they say, I can't get the note. So you've got to relax and just sort of not really care, just drift for it. And it happens. And it is the most amazing thing to play.
If you've never played a musical instrument in the past, there is that element of actually reading music. You're only reading one line, which is not like the piano. So how difficult is that to learn?
Not that difficult, because if they come to me, I tend to use musictheory.net, and there's exercises and it explains music theory and how to read music. And basically, on a recorder, in general, it's 2 and a bit octaves. So 17, 18 notes tops from the bottom of the recorder to the very, very top. So that's the extent you've got to actually learn to read. You start by building up, say, a 5-note range, 10-note range, and then extend either side of that just to get the tone and the sound of the recorder going correctly, really.
So what real health benefits can you get from playing the recorder?
Breath control, breathing. Also, it's relaxation. You learn to just relax from your head to your feet. And a lot of people, especially the older people I'm teaching, because as you know, I'm quite young as a retiree, have ongoing, say, rheumatism, arthritis developing. What I'm able to do is give them finger exercises to help with their mobility in their fingers. There are new recorders being developed for one-hand playing. So it's also trying to make sure that they've got the correct instrument. A wooden recorder is lovely to have, but actually a lot of players are better on the plastic because they're thinner and less weight in the hand. And you want people to be able to play into their 80s and 90s and not have to give it up because the instrument's too big to hold.
And how much does a descant cost these days?
Between 10 and 15 pounds. And a treble online can be as little as 20 pounds. Tenors are a little bit more expensive. They tend to be around about 30 to 40 pounds. You know, these are all plastic instruments. A decent wooden recorder might start at 120, 130 pounds. A lot of music is available online, so you don't necessarily have to go and buy the book. If they come to me, I can provide them with PDFs of scores, etc., so that they can get playing.
You know, the recorder is more than just an instrument. It's a gateway to creativity, relaxation, and connection. Whatever your level, it's never too late to start. Thanks to Val McCarroll for sharing her expertise and our reporter Joanne Watson. We hope this inspires you to breathe new life into your love of music. I hope you're enjoying the show. Have you thought about joining us as one of our guests? Do you have a story to tell, a learning experience you want to share with others? Whether it's a fascinating piece of history, a unique hobby, or a topic that's captured your imagination, you could feature in a future episode. Just tell us about it and we'll do the rest. We're eagerly waiting to hear from you. Contact us on communications@u3a.org.uk. communications@u3a.org.uk. And now back to the show. Cryptic crosswords. They can be infuriating, fascinating, and utterly addictive. Here we meet Henry Howarth, a man who knows his anagrams and has a knack for making even the trickiest clues feel within reach. Whether you're a seasoned solver or someone who's always wondered, how on earth do people do them? Henry's here to share his passion with our reporter, Maggie D, and offers a few tips that might just get you hooked.
You are an expert in cryptic crosswords, and you've written a book on it, in fact, and you help out u3a members with learning about cryptic crosswords. Why do you do that?
Well, it's something that I get a huge amount of satisfaction from, particularly from the teaching side. It's very rewarding.
How long does it take a person to figure out how to solve a cryptic clue?
Probably you need about 30 hours of learning to get going on cryptic crosswords. It's the big learning hump comes at the beginning, and once you're over that, then the kind of learning curve just gently eases off. Not many people do cryptic crosswords, and so they're a bit of a mystery. And the best way of describing it is that cryptic clues are written in a form of code, and they contain within the clues very precise instructions that tell the solver how to arrive at the answer. And that nearly always involves doing things with letters to build the answer. So, for example, maybe doing an anagram or doing a charade where you join groups of letters together. The code itself is pretty simple, but you do have to need to learn how it works. And then once you've learned how it works, then you'll be able to start solving cryptic clues.
What's the history of cryptic crosswords?
It's a really fascinating history. And if you go back to antiquity, you can find things that look very like crosswords in that you've got some kind of interconnecting words and some suggestion of a puzzle around them. The actual invention of the crossword itself been attributed to a guy who emigrated to the States. But the first puzzle that he produced was the clues were all quick crosswords. Cryptic crosswords really developed over here in the UK, and there have been a number of kind of thought leaders that instigated it. But the guy that's, again, attributed to being the inventor of it is a guy called Edward Paris Mathers. And he started experimenting with quick clues. He wanted to make them a little bit more interesting than just a straight kind of synonym. And so he was experimenting with things like anagrams and acrostics. And in the process, he developed the first cryptic clue.
And how long have you been doing them?
Well, I started a long time ago. I did them a bit during my working life, but never had a huge amount of time for it. But since I retired, I've got back into it a lot, and I solve puzzles quite a lot. But I'm perhaps a bit unusual in that I'm a teacher as well. So a lot of my focus is on teaching people how to solve cryptic crosswords, and then developing learning content, so developing courses or Zoom courses, this kind of thing.
And I presume that's not just for the u3a?
At the moment, it's mostly for the u3a. I have in the past taught courses to quite a few different organisations, but when lockdown arrived, that sort of dried up almost overnight. And so I took the plunge and learnt how to use Zoom. and adapted all my teaching so it works on Zoom. And I was already in the u3a movement, and the u3a movement seemed a good place to start with that. And that's worked very well.
What would be the favourite clue that you've ever developed?
That I've ever developed? Oh, gosh, wow. Okay. So one that's possibly simple enough to sort of see how it works is a clue like, it replaces hips a lot.
It replaces hips a lot.
A lot, yeah. And it's the answer is 8 letters, and it's hospital, and it's an anagram of hips a lot. So replaces tells you that that's the anagram indicator, to tell you that what you need to do. But it's quite a clever type of clue. It's called an all-in-one clue, because the wordplay, it replaces hips a lot, is also the same as the answer definition. So a hospital is somewhere where lots of hips get replaced.
Well, that's true. When you're coming to a cryptic crossword that someone else has developed, how quickly can you do them as a rule?
It normally takes me at least about half an hour, sometimes a bit longer than that. I'm probably not one of the fastest solvers, but you do need to spend some time on it. If you're doing a puzzle and you're knocking it off in about 5 minutes, then probably you need to find a slightly more challenging puzzle to be tackling.
I'm just thinking to myself that this is a fascinating subject, but it's obviously a very mind-intense one.
Yeah, it gives the mind a good workout. That's certainly true. So in particular, you need to exercise the memory, knowledge of words. You need to exercise deductive logic. That often comes into it. Yes, so it is good. It's a good workout for the mind. Yeah, definitely. One of my grandfathers used to do cryptic crosswords, which is where that probably seeded the idea. But a bit later on, I was playing in a band, and the lead singer of the band did crosswords. And as a joke, I said to him, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do a crossword for you, but I'll make it all about rock music. And that's led me on to setting puzzles during the 80s for the Melody Maker magazine. And that was a mixture of kind of cryptic cross clues and straight clues. And then I kind of had a more sort of mainstream career, mostly in IT and business development. And so I did do cryptic crosswords a bit, but never had a huge amount of time for it, really. But it was something I wanted to come back to when I retired. And then one day I was at a kind of a networking meeting, and there's a woman at the meeting who was developing a really interesting project in Dorset. This is about sort of 15 years ago now. She'd got some lottery funding, and she was setting up this project to provide things that would give mental, spiritual, and physical stimulation and activities for people, for older people in particular, I think. And she said to me, well, look, I gather you're something to do with crosswords. Have you ever thought about teaching it? And I hadn't really. So I thought about the idea, and I thought, that's a really, really good idea. And because of her contacts, she was able to set me up with an opportunity to try it out, as it were. And that just worked really well from the get-go. So quite often in life, I've found that sometimes somebody will intercede in your life, and as a result of that, it can launch you into something, quite new, really, which you hadn't expected that you would be doing. I think it's important for people to know that anyone can learn how to solve cryptic puzzles, that it can lead, obviously, to an enjoyable and mentally stimulating pastime. And we're very lucky here in the u3a because there are quite a lot of cryptic crossword groups. There's about 125 altogether. So many u3a members should be able to find one near them.
That was Henry Howarth showing us there's more to cryptic crossword than meets the eye, and perhaps tempting you to have a go yourself. Our thanks to Maggie D for that report. So, keep your pencil sharp and your mind even sharper. Well, that's it for this month. Don't you think that 30 minutes just flies by? They say time goes fast when you're having fun, and I hope we've sparked your curiosity to keep learning and exploring with us. We've got such a great podcast team who volunteer to do this every month. So big thanks as always to everyone who's contributed to the content today. And to our reporters, Bob Wells, Joanne Watson and Maggie D. And of course, you're used to this by now, me giving a special mention to our editor and producer, Bob Wells. We're back again next month. Hooray, I hear you say. Same time, same place. I look forward to spending time with you then. And to tempt you, we've got a fascinating story lined up. It's from someone who's interviewed dozens of celebrities and politicians, so it's well worth tuning in. This is Maggie West signing off for now. And remember, continue to learn, laugh, and live.